Welcome to the EQ Academy and to this emotional intelligence test. We're not looking how intelligent you are, how clever, IQ, because it doesn't really help you if your emotional intelligence is not up to scratch. Because let's say you know a lot, and I ask you to stand up and give a talk in front of 500 people, and you freak out and get all nervous, well then it doesn't really help. So what we look for is how you deal with certain situations and how easy you can navigate through life because you have learned to do things well. The more you've learned it, the more you have applied this knowledge, the better your emotional intelligence will be. And that's what we call the age of the soul. It's something that shows how much life experience you have. Usually with increased age, emotional intelligence will go up because you've made more experiences in life that will help you to stay out of that emotional drama. The two factors that we look at is, number one, push button reactions. How the world has a possibility to trigger emotional reactions within you. Let's say somebody comes with political viewpoints that oppose yours, and all of a sudden you get angry and upset. Or somebody has religious views, or your spouse starts nagging and starts challenging you and you get all angry. That would show how your emotional response is to those situations. Now, if they are in charge and they can tease you and challenge you until you steam with a red head, well, then you're emotionally incapable of dealing with that situation. Whereas if you're not really offended, if you're not really challenged, then that would show a high intellect, emotional intellect. And the second part is to do with likes and dislikes. How much you learn to love certain areas of life and how much you still challenge some. For example, if you have never learned to deal with finances and you get all freaked out and stressed because you can't pay your bills, you can't afford things, when your rent is due, you get all nervous because you don't know how to pay the bill, or any kind of financial invoice calls that emotional reaction, then that shows that you're not empowered, emotionally empowered in that area of life. Or standing up, like we said before, and giving a talk in front of a big crowd, and that makes you all nervous, then your social emotional intelligence is not empowered. And that can be at work, that can be in relationship, that can be in your health. All of those things have different attributes. And that's what we've done. We've broken our EQ test into 7 different parts, which makes it a lot more active, and it gives you the ability to clearly define which area you need to improve in order to have a successful life. Now let's look first at how you're programmed. And you know this little image here with this fellow with his big antenna. We're programmed from the moment of conception. It starts already in the womb. We get all the emotional reactions from mom, and then as we go through life, they start to increase. And there is many factors. Political environment, religious environment will have a massive influence, and it's not so much what they do to you, it's how you perceive it. If you think that's right and this is the only way, and yes, the authority figures that have taught me that, they know, well, then you will implement that belief and will take that as a fact. And now somebody comes and has a different viewpoint, has learned from someone else something different, and they start to challenge you, and all of a sudden your emotions go haywire. Because you have not learned to love that area, you've just taken a position based on belief or faith. And that's to do with marketing, social marketing, TV, advertising, all the things that advertise to make you happy. If you believe in that and you think, oh, when I have that car, I'll be happy. When I have that house, I'll be happy. Or when I'm going on holiday, I'll be happy. And they show you those images, then that triggers an emotional response, which makes you buy. So if you buy into that, then that's certainly a trigger that they are in charge over you and not you in charge of your own life. Marketing, advertising, idols, those people you look up to and you make your hairstyle like them, you dress like them, you move like them because you admire their life, and they can have a massive influence on how you believe certain things to be or you admire them. And then the most important is actually the people that you look up to. You know, those authority figures, parents, grandparents, teachers, all the people that you think they know, and you take their word for granted and in good faith. And whatever they teach you, it sometimes would pay to ask, how do they know? Why do they think they know better than everybody else? If they have very radical beliefs or very solid beliefs or very stagnant, immovable beliefs, because that's what you've imprinted then onto yourself. And all of those beliefs are very vulnerable. They make you vulnerable because they're always single-sided. And we'll talk about that in a moment. And then you have university and ethnical beliefs depending on the culture where you grow up. Now, all of those will cause you to believe in certain things, memories and beliefs, which then cause you to respond. Now, let's just say you believe that when I have that business, I'll be successful and everything will be great. I will be famous. I will have plenty of clients and money and it will be all good. Well, that's a positive belief. It's an illusion fantasy. You're looking forward into the future. Well, what happens until you get there? You have to go through all the dramas and the difficulties and the stress and the building up and the hard work and endless hours and learning curves, which we all know there are. You know, stuff that doesn't work, all sorts of problems, legal problems, patent problems, website problems. You know, if you ask me, there is many. And that's both sides true. Now, people who have learned in the past that all of this is a problem that you can't overcome. You know, they have been imprinted with money is hard to come by. You have to work long hours. Relationships hurt. When you trust someone, you just buy into pain. You know, they always cheat on you. They always lie. Then that's a programming that you have taken on. And based on your past experience, you'll project that into the future. People who have experienced the positive side, they project that into the future and always hope for the good. Is both true? Well, yeah. If you have a business, it's certainly great and it feels good when you've managed, but to get there is a lot of work and a lot of issues to overcome. I had recently a young lady come to me and said, when I have a baby, everything will be perfect. My husband will love me, all the giggles and the cuddles and the laughter, and I so much look forward. And I was like, okay, that's a single-sided belief. That's an illusion. Because that can be easily challenged with all the sleepless nights and walking around like a zombie after the child had a disease or had problems at school, or all the problems that we all know belong to life as well. So it's not only good, it's not only negative, it's both. But emotionally unintelligent people will defend one position over another. And that can be in health with diet. You know, my diet is the right diet, which invites a lot of other people to challenge your beliefs. And they will say, no, you're not right. And then emotions go up. Whereas an emotionally intelligent person would check out and study and learn and read about all the different things and then see both factors. And that's what we will try to check out now in this test, how you're programmed, how you deal with life and what your memories are like. Do they hold you back and see everything as challenging and difficult? And that's the areas where you have disempowerment, or areas which you've learned to love and you really know how to see the balance, or areas where you have illusions which completely spoil your life because you always think it's great and then you swing back to the other side. You see this pendulum here? This is, for example, falling in love. You fall in love and my partner is the only one. It's the most beautiful and everything. Parents already know. Friends usually know as well. Well, it's not all that glorious, but you are completely excited. So you see all the good in the partner. And then all of a sudden it swings back to the other side when you notice the other side. You know, seeing both sides, as I said, would be emotionally intelligent. But to get there, we need to experience the positive and the negative, and then we can bring it together. And that's to do with experience of life and with learning it the right way, becoming conscious of it at an early stage. We have a lot of young people that have been taught emotional intelligence at an early stage. And they deal with life a lot more successful because instead of swinging back and forth and always having an illusion, having a drama, having an illusion, the next illusion, and then a drama, they go straight towards target. They know exactly what they look for. They balance viewpoints out, and then they move towards their goals without any delays. And that, whether that's business, having that dream business and seeing all the problems to overcome, you plan that and then you move towards it without that emotional swing. It makes things a lot more successful and streamlined. So, when we look at the end result, and you will have a chart after that, like this, where you have weak areas, which are challenged, emotionally challenged, and you have areas which you have learned to love, where you are really good, where you have improved over time with time, money, and effort spent in that area to become a master. And those areas will show with a big graph. Those which are about the middle, 50, 60, 40%, that's what we actually try to achieve, because that just brings you stability, certainty, and that air of expertise. That's why everybody will hire you or will like to work with you. And you'll realize that in the different areas, which makes you attractive to the world. Whereas emotionally unintelligent, being on the low side, the weak areas, that's where you struggle with life, and people will pinpoint, will challenge you in those areas quite dramatically. And let's just say you have here financial department very, very low, but you have work very high, purpose very high, knowledge very high, and you'll get the colors. We'll do that in a moment. Then that would show that you are a business person focusing on knowledge and having a big mission, but you haven't learned to look after your health, and you haven't really learned to keep your finances in order. Everything that comes in goes out straight away for your bigger passion, because you've never learned to deal with money wisely, emotionally wise. In the same way here, you have a chart with extreme purpose, but you haven't learned to work or to relate to others or to get your social profile up, and that will then cause the holdback. All of us have areas of strength. All of us have areas of weakness. Now, the weak areas will hold you back. They will spoil the fun. Whereas strong areas are what motivates you, what really brings that passion to your life. And that's why our goal is at the EQ Academy, in our training, to bring you all to a very successful strength. You empower all 7 areas, and all of a sudden you can pick those 2, which are really your biggest passion, and fly. And that's the main goal. And that's what all successful people have. They haven't left some areas completely vulnerable and weak, because that would be their downfall. That would be the challenge that they need to overcome in order to really have success. All right, now let's look at the chart. And this is actually what you will see. It's a chart that we come to in a moment, but it's different fields that we check whether they are high or whether are low. So now I'm going to take them all down to a very low level. And this is when you are disempowered in that field. And then we check at 50%, what I would call achievable goal, something that we strive to achieve in a very short time. At the EQ Academy, we have a program which usually guarantees within half a year that you get to that level. And it's very, very rewarding when you feel that the whole world changes because you have changed your beliefs and your perception. Okay, social means your leadership skills, your social status. How do people perceive you? If that's on the low side, then you're usually ignored. Everybody is in the photo, but you don't need to be in there. Everybody is important, but you are not. And very often in household situations, that's, Mom, why is my shirt not ironed? I have a party tonight. Very important kids, very important husband, and the wife takes the dog to school, takes the dog for a walk, the children to school, does the shopping, ironing, sorting socks. We all know. Huge amount of work, but then they complain that things aren't done. No gratitude, no thank you, Mom, no well done. It's just taken for granted. And that's the low empowered status. Same at work. You do all the work, but nobody really appreciates what you do. They rather complain, even though you put in a lot of effort and a lot of energy. Now, what do we want to achieve here? We would like to achieve at least 50%, which is where you are acknowledged for what you bring into the community, your contribution, where they say, thank you, really well done. Wow, thank you for your participation or for being with you. People like to be around you. They like to be seen with you. They feel happy when you come. Now, would that sound great? Yes, it's something very, very important. And it has actually nothing to do with what you do. A lot of people work very hard. They do a lot of great things, but nobody cares because they don't care about themselves. See, the social field is a reflection of yourself. And if you sign up for our free training, you will get a lot of knowledge. You will actually get a lot of nuggets of gold that you can apply directly to your life. This is what we train. It's about self-respect, self-love, and self-appreciation. You acknowledge what you bring in. You let others see and feel what your contribution is in order for them to respect you. As soon as you respect yourself, they will do too. And that's the goal. So that's what we try to achieve with 50%. Now, you can take that up to 75 or even higher. That's when you have people waiting to be around you, waiting to be with you, wanting to have pictures done with you, asking you for an autograph. You know, they even pay you for your services. They pay to spend time with you. They invite you for TV shows, radio shows, interviews because you have an air of expertise, or, you know, whether you sing good or you look good, it doesn't really matter. There is no reason. It's you've learned to sell yourself in a very important way. And you can take that up to 100% if you like. Same principles apply to being super famous. Very easy. It's just a matter of whether that's your passion, whether you want that, because we know that when you bring that into that high range of fame, then you have paparazzi, then everybody looks at what you do, and life becomes stressful as well. So that wouldn't be my main passion, but to empower it so that people like to be around me and that I have the success that I want, the fame that I want, is really cool. All right. Now let's look at the next subject, which is our mental status. And the mind is actually very simple to achieve. It's something if you have no education. And if you have no education, let's face it, where does that come from? You've been programmed that learning is not good. Learning is hard. You're not clever enough. You can't comprehend. You've never learned to learn. It's actually a very simple thing. You've never learned to be passionate about something. Because if I'm passionate about sailing boats, what will I do? I will start reading magazines and newspapers, and I will look at them, and I will know where they are built and what they do. So I will build up knowledge and expertise in that field because I have passion for that. In the same way, whether it's knitting or whether it's sailing or it's sport or it's anything, it will be my passion that drives my knowledge and my expertise. If I allow myself to have that passion, I can bring that easily to a degree where I'm known and I'm asked for advice, which is really great. Now, if you bring some titles to it, some diplomas, some education, some proof that you really have that knowledge, that's when we come to the 50%. And that doesn't need to be a university degree or something. It's like you just need to prove that you have that. See, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a medical degree, but I have proved that I know plenty more than most doctors and that I've accumulated that knowledge and written books and given talks and presentations. So I've brought that to that strong status of having that expertise in that field, and it comes through passion. And I've invested time, money, and energy into that passion. It didn't come for free. Now, we forgot to mention in the previous field, when you are low and somebody calls you stupid or dumb or you don't know or shut up, you don't know anything, that's when those emotional triggers are called, or they say, just shut up, you don't know anything. And emotions flare up. Or you proclaim something where you don't really know anything about, and then they say, well, you're not right. Emotions flare up. Exactly, this is where we say push button reactions, because we haven't empowered that field. People have a possibility to trigger those emotions and show us that they see that we're inadequate in that field. Now, if I'm empowered, if I have a strong knowledge and somebody says, you have no clue, then I say, well, that might be from your perspective. From mine, I have. And I'm not offended. I'm not challenged. If they have opposing viewpoints, yeah, who cares? I can still see where they come from, and I know where my degrees are and my knowledge is and where I've accumulated it. So you can take that to an extremely high level. And we know that you have professor titles and degrees and you're asked for your expertise on TV shows. You become that leading expert in a field. And that's the same principle. It's you putting the effort in of accumulating knowledge. Now, if you knew how easy that is, how simple that can be done, how you can even outsource that and then bring that knowledge back to you is very, very easy. So we teach that again at the EQ Academy so that you can empower yourself with knowledge in a very, very short time and then get the concentrated, condensed form instead of sifting yourself through a huge amount of information that then becomes quite overwhelming. All right? So, financial. That's another very simple thing. You have no money. You stress out when bills come. You have always that, emotional situation because you borrowed money, you have to pay it back, you don't have the money, you have to excuse, or you can't afford what you would like to buy, or you just need to struggle to get through, then that's an emotional trigger, an emotional challenge that can play a heavy burden on your life. And you're vulnerable to criticism. You're vulnerable to people pointing that out. Again, your emotions are triggered by outside situations because you have not empowered that area of life. Now, if you manage to bring that up, and again, this is our goal at the EQ Academy, 50%, slightly above, that means you have built income streams that work on their own, that earn you money that you don't use but save so that you earn more money from the money that you've already invested. It's a very simple thing. It's not using the money that you earn, it's actually investing it wisely so that it becomes more and more and builds you that backbone that money at a certain stage is working for you. Taking that to a higher level is actually quite easy too, because that's when you then invest and you build an empire, financial empire. The money that comes in is easily invested again with the same principles so that it makes you more and more and more. And again, taking that to a very high level and being filthy rich brings a whole range of other problems. And that's why we know that people who are newly rich earn money through lottery. Usually they have all the money and then within 1 year they blow it because they haven't learned to deal emotionally with financial wealth. So they spoil it and they go back to their beginning status, usually worse than before, and they have divorce, relationship problems, all sorts of other issues. So growing that with emotional intelligence to a very solid state is our goal. And it's very simple, very easy. It's just a simple setup that you create. And then you start working on your income streams and set them up until they work on their own. And then you build the next and a little bit of time investment and you're there in no time. Financial independence is here the goal. Spiritual, well, that's something we can see in many different forms. It could be seen as religious, but I see it more in form of life purpose. Why are you here on earth? What is your passion? What is your purpose? I call it the fuel of life. And it doesn't really matter what your purpose is. If you have one, it motivates you to move. It motivates you to do things, to grow and evolve. And it gets you forward. Now, if I don't have a purpose, what will happen automatically? And this is in the weak area. Everybody who thinks they have a more important purpose than me will tell me what to do. And that can be having fun and having barbecues and going out for dancing. And because I've got nothing else to do and because I have no stand, no position on my own, I'll be dragged into that. Or your wife or your spouse or anybody around you or your boss puts nonstop their purpose on you and you have to follow their mission of life. which is quite overwhelming and daunting and usually quite exhausting. Now, to bring that to a strong purpose is really just finding what is your contribution to life. What can you do to help someone else, to help the world, to help clean up, to, I picked cancer, which is certainly not the most uplifting subject, but there is many, getting rid of plastic, looking for animals, providing employment, looking for entertainment and fun. It doesn't matter what your mission is. Really don't think there is one more important than the other. The only reason is why you need one, and that's for you to say, thank you, I have something more important to do, which is important to me. And you can filter the world based on what you think is crucial. Now, if I can do that, I can sort the world and I can say, look, I have to do all those videos. I have to finish my course. I don't have time to get drunk over the weekend. I don't have time to go on holiday. I need to finish this because it's more important to me. And if somebody wants to put a burden on me, like mowing the lawn or something like that, I can say, well, find someone else. I don't have time for that. And then I follow my mission, my passion for life. And it doesn't need to be like changing the world. When we take that up and you want to be a Gandhi or a Dalai Lama or somebody, that's fine. Again, it brings huge burden. It brings huge responsibilities with it that you might not want to carry, but at least empower your life to a degree where you are in charge of your destiny, what you would like to achieve. And that's whether it's running the perfect household and raising children which become world leaders or become very conscious about life. Purpose is very important. In business, for example, you can sell bricks, for example. Yeah, but you can sell healthy bricks, environmentally friendly bricks. You provide your passion, your knowledge to that, and all of a sudden you've created a purpose which then attracts people to follow you, to buy from you. If you declare your mission, if you declare your purpose to the world, all of a sudden you will create your own followership. And that's just in business one of the most important things to do. You can sell paint. There is 2 million paint shops, but you sell organic paint, healthy paint, non-toxic paint, paint that doesn't breathe out any kind of formaldehydes and PBCs and PBBs. Well, then that will create you as an authority in that field. People will find you, follow you. Just to give you an example. All right. And as I said, you can take your mission to the stars. Physical. That's a very simple thing. If you have everybody tell you what you should do in regards to your health, your doctor, your spouse, your husband, everybody dictates and commands. And you are not in charge of your own health. You don't have the discipline, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have a clue how to observe yourself. You wonder why you're sick today because yesterday you picked out and had six bottles of vodka. Well, then that's disempowered. You don't have the emotional connection between what you do and the results that you perceive in your body. Very low emotional intelligence. You plan, I'm not going to eat any sweets tomorrow, and the next morning or even the same hour, you start eating them again. You have no discipline. Very important. The physical realm is not just knowing things, it's actually applying that knowledge to your life and feeling great about yourself, feeling, empowered about your discipline and about your feeling and health of your body. So when we want to bring that up to an empowered state, again, this is what we learn, then it's to do with the ability to translate knowledge into action, to do what you plan to do. And not only in the physical side, but actually everything that you plan for life, that you pull it through and that you have the planning, the discipline, and the willpower to do so. Again, that requires some overriding of your old patterns. I've been programmed to have stress food, celebration food, sorrow food, happy food. Everything was compensated with sweets. And that's a big programming. And I don't think about that. That's just a natural pattern that flares up. To override a pattern like that, to override your temptations, is a very big thing. It starts with knowledge. It starts with understanding. Then it follows up with self-observation. And then you move into translating it into action. And it works, and then you waver sometimes, but then because now you are observative, you feel how you go down in energy, all of a sudden you can pick up the horse and start going further. That's our goal. Now to take that into athletic, excellence, into achievements, into high achievements, that's your passion. That's what you can do. If that's important to you, there's a lot of sports people who really thrive in looking after their body and caring for their body and taking it to the absolute maximum level in their athletic field. So if that's something you want to do, you're more than welcome. Relationship is also a field that when it's on the low side, that means you have bullying, you have screaming, yelling, divorce, pain, cheating, all the lying, all the drama that we know from relationships. You're easily offended. People are nagging on you. You nag, partners walk away. It's that relationship drama that we know from TV that nobody really wants. Now that's the low side. That means all of those emotional triggers can be, in other people's hands. They have those push button reactions to drive you insane. Now that's not very pleasant because you're not in charge of it. So our goal is to bring that up to 50%. And that would mean you're in charge. You can see where they come from and you can communicate your values with them and actually support them or receive what you need. And that's based on fair trade. Now, our relationship program, we have a free program that you can sign up with that will share you in the free training in relationship nuggets of gold. You will learn very, very simple how to adjust a relationship in very short time and turn even an enemy into a friend. It's a beautiful training. And it's one of the most fundamental because you always have relationships either with yourself or with God or with your neighbors or with your family or with anybody, your work colleagues. And if you don't know how to maintain or communicate values in relationship, then everything becomes stressful. So that's one of the first. And when I put a survey out, what are the main stress levels in life? Relationship was by far the winner. It's the biggest problem because we're trained to believe in fantasies. I hate myself and the wrinkles and I'm ugly and I'm horrible and I'm stupid, but you're supposed to love me, right? Well, there is all sorts of screwed up fantasies that we need to balance out and change our emotional intelligence. As soon as you do, relationship is a dream because everybody is in for a deal. And if you get what you want from me, then you'll be very happy. And if I get what I want from you, then I'll be happy. So the trade, the exchange is something that needs to be communicated very, very clearly and followed through. I have to have a demand that I get what I need. Otherwise, the deal is off. So communicating that, motivating a partner instead of nagging them. You can get your children to run away by putting your best will onto them. You have to, and then they run away and they don't, or they do the opposite. Instead of motivating them in a way that you, get them to want what you want them to do. That's what we call empowerment in relationship. And that's what politicians do. That's what people in marketing do. That's when you have that ability to deal with communication and to communicate values in such a way that you can become a politician, that you can get everybody to love you and to follow your lead or guide. So that's what you can drive into if you would like to go there. And then we have work, which is on the low side, very simple. You work a lot and you don't earn any money. It's very simple. A lot of people think, and I was one of them, if I work a lot, then that's an empowered state. Well, not really, because if you look at successful people, they delegate, they organize, they build beautiful patterns of systems that they can then step back and just control and oversee, and they earn money by investing very little time. They drive the nice car, they spend a lot of time with colleagues and somewhere else. while the work is done for them. Now, you don't need to do that. I don't have employees. I run my own little business here. But I have plenty of time to follow my passion, to follow my purpose, to look after my health, to go for a walk, to do everything I like, to travel the world and learn and study, while I still have my income, and it's all organized, it's all structured, it's all those little patterns that have been established which make it possible. Now, that's what we call a 50% empowerment. Now, if somebody comes and says, you haven't done this is not finished, that's causing emotional stress because I have chaos. And it doesn't need to be only at work. Let's just say it's you're running your household. You have a mess in your laundry, your garden is overgrown with weed, it's everywhere chaos, your children don't have the right support at homework, all a mess because you haven't learned to organize your life. Now, if you haven't learned to organize your work environment, whether that's household or business, then it will play into everything else because you won't have time to earn money. You won't have time to look after your health. You won't have time for anything else because it's all chaos. So organizing your life, making patterns, making little charts, helping you to get everything into play, that's the goal. And that's again what we train at the EQ Academy, to really plan out your business structure, plan out your family structure, what you do and how you do it, so that with a little bit of effort, this thing is set up to run on its own. And then you can withdraw, build either the next business income stream, or focus on something that you love doing because that is taken care of. Now, you can take that into organizing large corporations, large companies, and really build up empires, which is great. But again, it brings new responsibilities. And see, what I always say, if it brings new responsibilities and it becomes quite intense, you need to have a massive passion to build up such a large business. You need to have a massive passion to become one of those super athletes. And that's all good. If that's what you want to do with your life, you can thrive because all of those areas will support you. And this is pretty much the final that I would like you to really understand. All the areas that you've empowered, that you're good in, that you love doing, you have learned to love them. You don't have negative memories that hold you back from doing it. You don't have any illusions from not getting there. It's like you do it and you translate it into action and you empower that area of life. You become emotionally free from the stress situations of either side. And that's the areas that are like your balloons. They let you fly. And that's a really beautiful thing. And think about all the areas that are not working, where you have problems, where you don't have the discipline. They're the sand sacks that hold you down. Now think about, you have 5 sand sacks and 1 balloon. That's a pretty tough life. That's heavy. That's what we call the thunder clouds, the rain clouds. Very depressing, very challenging. And I don't wish that on anybody. And that's why when I noticed what emotional intelligence actually is, and how it improves our life, how it really helps us to make life a lot simpler, a lot easier, and a lot more successful, that's when I started to build the EQ Academy. And it's now many years in the growing. And we've taught hundreds of students, thousands of students around the world. And if you see the transformation that they go through in a very short time, not by learning by doing, making hundreds of mistakes and really challenging. It's actually by understanding the principles and then setting things up with a very cool and quiet mind, which is emotionally intelligent. Then they reach their goals in half the time or in a fraction of the time. And that's what I would like to wish for everybody. So if you would like to sign up for our free training, it takes you through 7 areas of life, and you will get training videos like this one here that take you through each area on their own, and you will learn what it's about, what you have to do, how you can implement. And these free training videos will already give you enough knowledge to transform your life. And if you then decide, I want to become a master, I would like to learn that in full, then you can pick individual subjects. Very simple. If you say, I have challenges in relationship, I only want to empower relationship, then just learn that. You sign up at the EQ Academy just for relationship. Or you say, I want to become an elite student. I would like to have all subjects and really get them. Then you sign up for the whole program. Or, and this is a great alternative, you can say, I want to become a teacher. Like Marcus, I would like to go out and teach other people how to empower their life, as a stress coach, and to resolve all of their problems by very simple logic. And you will realize everything we teach is not like tapping problems away, hoping they go away, or any kind of other illusion. It's actual factual, practical things that once you understand and implement are happening on their own. All right? Now, just press the button underneath, the orange button, fill in your name and email, and we'll see you throughout the next 7 videos where we'll share with you the free training.